So in this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 tips for visiting SOLLER this summer. Now you can see I'm up here in SOLLER and it's one of the most beautiful hilltop towns in Mallorca, but it is likely to get very busy this summer. So what's the best way that you can actually visit SOLLER to make your visit and to make your trip as comfortable as possible? Well, here are my top 10 tips, and we're going to start up here in the train station, and I'm standing right in front of the wooden train, which is otherwise known as the Ferrocarril. So if you're looking to come to SOLLER by the wooden train, by the Ferrocarril, then the best way of getting that ticket is by booking in advance. And the cost for 2024 is €35, and that includes a return trip on the Ferrocarril up to SOLLER from Palma, and then it also includes the tram ride down towards Port to SOLLER as well, and that's all in one ticket price. So that is going to be the best value to take the train and the tram. Now you can book these tickets 7 days in advance on the website as well, so I'll drop the link to the website below. Go and check it out and get those tickets booked as well, but try and avoid getting your tickets to the same day as well, because with the numbers that we expect this summer, well, you may not actually get a seat on the train. So book in advance to make sure that your day out does go as planned. Now my next tip is, if you are travelling on a budget, then I really would recommend taking a bus to come up here. You may well have seen in my video right at the end of the season, at back end of October, just how busy it was up here. So I really recommend not bringing your hire car if you are driving. Instead, get the bus from Palma. The bus fare is going to set you back somewhere between €4 and €6, depending where you get the bus from. Now there are two buses that you can take. You can take either the 203 bus, and that will go not only from Palma over to SOLLER and down to Port to SOLLER, but you can also take that same bus as well on the route which goes around Deia and Valldemossa. I may actually do that route one day and I'll show you what it's like, so consider subscribing to the channel to catch that journey, but I'll see about that sometime in the future. Alternatively as well, there's the bus that goes straight to SOLLER as well, the 204, that leaves very frequently too during the summer months. These buses do get crowded, but on the absolute upside as well, they are air conditioned too, so definitely worth taking. So my next tip is going to sound a little bit obvious, but do not just leave the train station here when you arrive in a SOLLER train station and then jump onto the tram down to the port. Actually stick around for a while as well and get the best of this amazing old town too. So we're going to head on down into the main square. I'm going to show you roughly what there is to see and do here, and it's just a flavour really, because if you do come up to SOLLER for the day, have the experience of SOLLER itself before heading on down to the port. So let's head on now down to the main square. So SOLLER town is actually quite small, it's quite easy to get around. Well, the town centre itself is quite small, and immediately as you come out of the train station you are going to be greeted by several cafes as well, where you can come and grab a bite to eat or just grab a drink too. So Plaza Constitución is the main port of call for many people coming to experience the centre of SOLLER town. Now, as you can see, when I arrived this morning, there are lots of tour groups visiting. It does get very busy over here during the hot summer months. Even have a look back on my video which I made back at the far end of October as well, and you can see just how busy it gets right at the end of the season. So many visitors who come here to SOLLER for the day will just grab a seat in one of the many restaurants which surround the square. But my top tip is to walk out of the main square and head on down some of the side streets. We're going to find some smaller independent cafes and restaurants where you can have an altogether more quiet experience if that is what you're after. You're going to find lots of other empty tables as well outside of the main square too, because this main square can get extremely busy during the summer, as you're sure to find out when you come over here to visit. Now the next stop that many visitors do make to SOLLER town is to head on through the commercial centre, which is this street here, which you can see very clearly. Now this is normally a very lovely street. You've got lots of little shops here selling locally made products and goods. Great place to pick up as well some pastries and some souvenirs. But just bear in mind that you're not always going to find everything open throughout the year. I am actually filming here in February, so we've got a lot of shops closed at the moment. Also, if you're visiting during the hot summer months as well, just bear in mind that many of these shops will actually have a siesta from around 1:30 or 2 o'clock, and then maybe they'll reopen around 4:30 or 5 o'clock too. It's not the case for all of the shops here, but you will find it being the case for many of the shops. So if you do come down here mid-afternoon, you may well find quite a few businesses are closed. But there's more to SOLLER than just stopping off for a bite to eat or drink, or coming down and doing some shopping, because this town is also a home to some museums and galleries too. And I'm outside Can Prunera, which is the modernist museum here, and also worth checking out. There are also some other museums in the town as well as a science museum, and also botanical gardens too. So as you can see, there's plenty to see and do. And of course, in addition, you can just explore the wonderful side streets too, which really give you a flavour of what life is like over here in the town. So also worth visiting if you're over here in SOLLER is one of the many local fiestas that they have happening year round. Now there are a few fixed dates for these fiestas as well, and I'll drop a few dates in the description text below this video, but we don't often hear about events happening in SOLLER town until maybe just a week or two before the actual event itself. Some events are fixed in stone, others tend not to be. So if you are over here visiting, you may well come across something really interesting and fantastic happening over here in the town on your visit. Now a lot of these events really are for locals living over here and for the local community, but of course if you're visiting SOLLER on holiday, then you're perfectly welcome to join. And coming up this summer as well, we've got everything from the Moors and Christians festivals, we've got the Orange Festival as well, we've also got the Night of San Juan, and just so much more taking place in this amazing town throughout the year. So you're going to find SOLLER town to be at its most busy during July and August, when we do have most visitors to the island. So how do you go about getting a much quieter experience? Well, my advice is to experience SOLLER in the early evening. You're going to find the last train leaving SOLLER back to Palma to be around 7 o'clock in the evening. If you do want to have a really truly local experience with fewer tourists here, then I would recommend getting the bus back to Palma and coming to have dinner here in the square one evening. And when you do go on to take the tram down to Port de SOLLER, my next top tip is to make sure you take your swimming costume. As you may have seen on my other videos from the area, you're going to find that there are some lovely beaches down there too. And if you're visiting in the hot summer months, well, you're quite possibly going to want to have a swim. Okay, so if you are visiting out of season, then you may want to see some of the amazing views that we have here in SOLLER, and that means getting up into the hills. If that is the case, then check out this video appearing here on YouTube for a really easy hike to do up in the SOLLER hills, where you can get amazing views of the valley. Okay everyone, thank you very much for watching. If you are visiting SOLLER this summer, then do feel free to go and post some photographs over on the Mallorca Under the Sun Facebook group. Also consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, because I'm going to have plenty more tips coming out on my channel to help you organise your holiday for this summer. Thanks very much for watching everyone. I shall see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.